You already know who it is, man. It's your boy Underrated Major. Today I'm going to be doing a video discussing unbelievable fairy tale information. Now, if you guys haven't watched that 27-minute video reaction that I dropped a couple days ago, basically it was me reacting to a new interview that Hiro Mashima, the author of Fairy Tail, dropped. He basically released this interview back in New York Comic-Con. I believe New York Comic-Con was like 3 or 2 weeks ago. Basically, it was a chance for fans to ask Hiro Mashima anything, and basically it was a big moment for that because we got to see a lot of questions that a lot of people wanted to find out. And the one thing that I gotta say is there was a lot of news stuff that I didn't know about that we found out about in this little article. And there's really two things I want to talk about today because there's two big pieces of information that he told us that basically made me realize that this definitely coincides with like fairy tale, and like this impacted the story itself. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is character deaths. Now, a lot of people, it's a running joke that fairy tale, they never kill anybody. You know, fairy tale has no deaths. When people die, they get brought back, blah blah blah. You know, people say that fairy tale has more plot armor than Dragon Ball Z. People say that they always bring characters back, which is true to a certain extent. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything for anime only, but manga readers, you guys know. I mean, even if you're anime only, one of the most infamous moments, Makarov, you know, him going against Acton Logie. A lot of people thought that he should have died there, but he didn't die. Even people like Sting's Exceed, I forgot what his name was, Frosh, Lecter, whatever, one of those two, when the Exceed quote unquote died, but didn't really die. And even Gray, a lot of people, when Gray died, and you guys can't see it, but I'm using air quotes, but when Gray died, a lot of people, they thought, yo, this was going to be a real thing, but then we found out that he basically didn't end up dying. And a lot of people, they get upset about this stuff, but Hiro Mashima, the author, actually revealed that the reason why he doesn't really kill off characters is because the fans don't want it. Yes, as surprising as it sounds, the majority, and when I say fans, I don't mean all of it. Obviously, there's some people who do want fairy tale deaths. That's why there's always people complaining that fairy tale doesn't die. But majority of the people, you guys got to remember, fairy tale, it's a shonen at the end of the day. I mean, I know a lot of older people read it, like people who are like 18, 19, 20, you know, a lot of adults read it, but Hiro Mashima, he basically confirmed in this interview that he made fairy tale and it wasn't meant to be some type of complex shonen. It was supposed to be just something that was for enjoyment, you know, for younger people to enjoy. And for the most part, he did do that. That's why you see a lot of like younger people, they like fairy tale, you know, a lot of teenagers, and even some adults do enjoy it a lot. But the one thing that he did say is that the people, the true fans, like the diehard fans, the people who give fairy tale 10 out of 10, they hate character deaths, and basically they don't want to see any of their favorite characters die. And basically whenever he did attempt to kill off a character, he would get, like, the backlash would be insane. Like, he would basically get death threats. Like he would kill off a character, then people would threaten to kill him. That's how bad it would be. Like, people, they hated seeing characters die off, and that was really one of the main reasons why Hiro Mashima didn't kill off characters. Now, I know there's going to be some people saying stuff like, oh, well, we seen other mangaka do it. Well, yeah, I'm not saying that I'm not giving him a pass saying, oh, he should never kill off characters because the fans don't want it. But when majority of your fan base is saying, no, don't do this, or when he sees the reaction, because Hiro Mashima, he said in this interview too, he said that he looks for the comments and the feedbacks about the chapter every single week. Like, he actually pays attention to all of that, and if he sees that the fan base doesn't necessarily enjoy it, he'll more than likely go back on what just happened and do something to please the fans. That's just the person how he is, or that's just how he was when it came to fairy tale. So when he see that people would be complaining about it, then he'll go back and change it. And I'm about to go on a little rant. Don't get angry. Why are you stopping the creator of fairy tale, or just the creator in general? This doesn't just apply for fairy tale, but if an author wants to do something with his book, it shouldn't be, or not even a book, but just with his story, with his piece of work, it shouldn't be up to the fans to dictate how it goes. Like, just imagine how different fairy tale would be if people didn't get all butthurt about a character dying, if they didn't get ready to start riots and stuff. Like, just imagine how different fairy tale would be. Now, I'm not saying it would be a perfect series, but I'm just saying that I think Fairy Tail will have a whole different approach if people didn't always rant and go on Twitter and, you know, email him death threats and all that stuff about killing characters. Like, relax, let him do his story how he intended it to do, and maybe you would end up liking it even more. I mean, if he did kill off characters, that would basically lead to a lot more, I guess you could say, sadder moments. Like, I think that if there were more Fairy Tail deaths, it would have been, you know, the series would have got a little bit better. But I'm just saying that if you're one of the people who always harass him over killing a character, then yeah, just stop. That you're part of the problem, I'm gonna be honest. Now, the next thing I want to discuss, which kind of does tie into this, is fan ratings. Now, if you guys don't know, usually in Japan, whenever a new series gets released, it's basically ranked, or not new series, a new chapter gets released, it gets ranked amongst within each magazine. Like, for example, Shonen Jump is its one magazine. They have series like Naruto, Bleach, you know, One Piece, blah blah blah. Then Shueisha, which Fairy Tail's a part of, they have series like Fairy Tail, Attack on Titan, Nanatsu no Taizai. And whenever a new chapter gets released, they generally have rankings for the polls of the chapters. They have each chapter basically lined up against each other, and whichever ones have the greatest ratings gets, you know, they're basically like in first place for the week. That's how you can tell which series is doing good on like a weekly basis, besides like the monthly and the yearly sales. Like, you'll be able to see how much the fans enjoyed a chapter and how much they really enjoyed the content. But Hiro Mashima relayed some interesting information. He basically said that, believe it or not, the fans decide which series actually gets canceled or which series actually stays. Whoa, that is crazy. I mean, me personally, I kind of knew to a certain extent that if a series was doing bad in like sales wise, like if they was doing bad in sales, that it would get canceled. But from a fan rating, like, let me set one thing straight. If a series has bad ratings but it has good sales, I thought it would stay. But if a series has, I guess you say, good ratings and not so great sales, then the series will actually stay publishing. And now that I've learned about that, it kind of does make sense, because you'll have series like, for example, one of my favorite series, Hajime no Ippo, it's still ongoing. It's about 1,000 chapters long. I know some of you guys don't even know what that is. That's my favorite series right now, and I definitely do gotta say that, me personally, I do believe that when it comes to that series, that's a series that doesn't really have a lot of sales, but you definitely do, like, you can still see that it gets a lot of like good ratings and stuff. So that's one of the main reasons why it's still ongoing. And for example, you have a series like Bleach, where Bleach, I know a lot of you guys might know about that. It was a series that was ongoing, you know, it was popular, it was still doing good when it came to sales, but I'm guessing that the fan ratings were getting bad to a point where they're basically just like not enjoying it, and Bleach ended up getting rushed. And that is just shocking to believe that the people over there in Japan, they value the fans' opinions more than the actual sales. Like, that is just something that I didn't expect. And this also ties back into my first point about the character deaths. Like, Hiro Mashima basically didn't want to kill off any characters because he knows that the fans wouldn't like it. And this all ties back into Hiro Mashima not being able to do what he wants to do with the story, because if he would have started killing off characters, he knew that the fans, they basically want to have liked it, they want to have enjoyed it, they would have gave it bad ratings. And even though Fairy Tail was getting good sales, if it's not getting enjoyment ratings like and stuff, people would, or I guess the magazine will basically like either rush Fairy Tail, or they'll either just cancel, or they want to cancel it on the spot, but they'll basically get the Bleach treatment, whereas it'll basically get rushed to a point where it couldn't get complete to, you know, how it's supposed to be. So that is really crazy to think that fan ratings are basically greater than sales. Now, I'm not saying that's 100% true. Obviously, if it's a newer series, if it doesn't have a lot of sales, and if it has somewhat of good fan rating, then obviously the newer series will get canceled. But with the series that has longevity, like a Fairy Tail or like a shonen, it's crazy to think that basically, if the fans aren't messing with it, then you're going to either get rushed, or your series will basically get a horrible ending, depending on regardless of how the sales are doing. Now, unless it's something like One Piece or Naruto, where it's like dominant, like in the West, you know, then that's a different story. But if it's like I guess you say an average size, maybe an above average, maybe a middle tier like average series, because I don't see Fairy Tail as like, actually that's hard. I actually do kind of see Fairy Tail as like a top tier when it comes to popularity, because it was very popular. But maybe if it's a series that's right below it, fan ratings do have a huge impact on if the series does stay or go. But overall, that's basically it for this little video. I just want to give you guys a little more insight about Fairy Tail and the ratings and how the fans, yes, the Fairy Tail fans, we do have a huge impact on the series, and how the mangaka goes. One of the main reasons why Fairy Tail didn't have character deaths was because it would basically piss off a lot of people. And on top of that, we basically do know that if that would end up happening, then the fan ratings would end up going down, and Hiro Mashima would have probably had to rush his series. Comment what you guys think down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.